welcome to this week's edition of Lakota Sportswatch. I am Bill Bretz. Behind the camera there is Mike Lyons. Glad you have joined us this week. Well, all the sports are now in postseason except for one, and that will be football. And one sport is at the state championship, and we'll start off with that first because the Division I State Girls Tennis Championships will be played this coming weekend. And Lakota East is going to be represented by two players there. Paige Silverberg and Manny Malk are both going to be there in the doubles. They ended up, we mentioned, of course, last week's show that they had already made their qualification for the state championship. They ended up fourth, though, in their particular district. And that was, of course, played at the ATP Center. And so they will be at state. Their first round game will be against a team from Perrysburg. Now, the way that state tournament works up in Columbus, and by the way, this will be the last year it will be in Columbus. On Friday will be the first two rounds, and that'll be played at Ohio State University. On Saturday, the semifinals and finals will be played at Hilliard-Davidson High School. And their rain facility is in Plain City outside of Columbus, and just in case they need that. So good luck to those two young ladies at the state championships, and hopefully during the football game. Well, no, we won't. We'll have to wait till next week. We'll have to wait till next week because we are taping this a couple days before the game here, or a day before the game. But we'll check on how they did next week. And just want to let you know, just FYI, it was announced by the state this week, although I think people pretty much knew this anyway, that the state girls and boys tennis championships will now be held at the ATP Tennis Center starting in the fall of 2015. So great for the tennis players in this area. They don't have to go too far to get to the state championship. All right, volleyball, they're in sectionals right now, and both East and West are playing at Withrow High School. West, number 9 seed, they beat Loveland in the first round in 5 games. Okay, and they will meet, actually they had a first round bye, so now they are all the way to the sectional finals. West will be taking on Turpin in the sectional finals Saturday at 1:30 at Withrow. East is number 6 seed. They beat Walnut Hills in 3 games. They will take on Anderson today as we are talking about it, as our show is being taped. So during the football game this week, we'll update how the East team did against Anderson. If they do win that game, the sectionals, they will be in the sectionals on Saturday too also. Okay, so that's volleyball. As far as soccer goes, they're both in sectionals too. Boys soccer, East beat Edgewood 7-0 in the first round. And number 6 East will be at number 18 Withrow. And that game is also being played in a few hours from now. So we'll have to see if they win that one, they will get to the sectional finals. West is number 3 seed. They will be hosting number 15 Milford also on Thursday. Both of those games will be home games for East and West. And both will start at 7 o'clock. We'll update those during the football game. And interesting, if both win, and they both should win since they are a higher seed right now, it'll be East versus West in the sectional final at Hamilton. And that game will be played on Monday, October 20th. Girls soccer right now, West beat Mercy in the first round 5-2. They will be at Walnut Hills Saturday at 2 o'clock for sectional action. East beat Middletown 5-0, and they will take on Mount Notre Dame Saturday at 2 o'clock. So those are in East game, I believe East, I'm not sure, I think they are hosting that game. So we'll have to see. So we'll check on that. All right, cross country. Well, the league championship was held this past week at VOA Park. And quite a good representation from East and West there. Let's start with the girls. First off, in the girls action, Mason, no surprise, they won it. But West was second with 66 points. East was third with 82 points for the girls. Abby Van Fossen has been doing a great job. She's had just a tremendous career right now, and hopefully will continue for a few more weeks up to the state championship. She was second overall in the GMC. She ran a time of 18:43 for the 5K course out there at VOA. Kelly McManus from West was ninth, 19:33. West placed 4 runners 9th through 14. That's how come they secured that second place finish. Gloria Corona Luna was 11th, Meredith Elston was 13th, and Emma Cunningham was 14th. On the boys' side, well, good news on the boys' side. How about Lakota East, those Thunderhawks? They won the GMC championship in cross country, scoring 38 points. That was 9 better than Mason. It was kind of a mild upset because Mason had won 4 years in a row before that time. West was 5th at 142. For East, it was their first championship since 1998 and only their second one as Lakota East. If people have followed cross country over the years, they know back in the 80s and 90s, Lakota was a powerhouse in cross country in the GMC. They won 12 GMC championships during those 2 decades. Since they have split, East has won, of course, their second one now. West has won 3 times during that time. So, but anyway, they did beat Mason in that. As far as the boys' action goes here at the GMC meet, Dustin Horter of East was 2nd. 15:38 was his time. Ryan Burles was 4th. 15:46 was his time. David Jagler was 5th. 16:02 was his time. I tell you, in cross country, if you can put 3 guys in the top 5, you're almost guaranteed to win at that time. Michael Norris was 10th at 16:21, and finishing 17th and rounding out the scoring for East was Tyler Anderson. Josh Orders of West finished 12th. He was the top runner for West. So congratulations to the East Thunderhawks and Coach Adam Thomas, and good luck to them at districts. And speaking of districts, let's talk about that. As we said, cross country on Saturday, we'll have district action. And the advantage to the GMC teams, it's on the same course at VOA Park, Voice of America Park over in Westchester, just a couple miles from here right now. Top seeded, all the teams are seeded, I should say. All teams are seeded in Division I and Division II. And once you get a seed, you decide what race you want to be in. They have 2 races. The girls in Race B, the second race of the day for Division I, both West and East girls will be in that race. For boys, they're going to be split there. And Race A will be East and Race B will be West. Now the top 4 teams in each one of those races will make it to the regionals, and anybody not on those top 4 teams but in the top 16, they will qualify as an individual, and the regional meet will be in Troy next Saturday. All right, we're going to step out for just a moment for a message. When we come back, we'll talk football.
Hi, I'm Jerry Lucas. Everybody knows that high school sports give us excitement. They also give us leaders and role models, and they bring our communities together. Sometimes they give us heroes, other times they give us heartbreak. But they always give us an opportunity to learn, grow, and practice life skills. I know high school sports gave me a lot while growing up in Ohio, just as they do for today's young people. So shouldn't we give high school sports our full support?
Welcome back to Lakota Sportswatch. Bill Bretz in front of you. Behind that camera is Mike Lyons. We're bringing you this from this week. We're at Firebird Stadium, where we will be on Friday night for football this week. Let's look at the city rankings this week in as far as Division I football goes. East is 5th in the city this week. West is 6th in the city this week. In the league, Colerain 4-0. East and West and Mason are all 3-1. So you still got really 4 teams that have shot at the title right there. The game we did last week was East and Princeton. It was a game that was a big win for East, but a costly one. It was homecoming night at a Hawks Nest as East hosts league rival Princeton. Princeton would score first. Orlin McIntosh, 2-yard run, 7-0 Vikings. On the next possession, Tyler Glenn scores a 26-yard run for East, game tied at 7. Then at 3:10 to go in the first quarter, David Chenault, 3 yards out, 14-7 East. They take their first lead of the game, and they will keep that lead the rest of the night. Second quarter, TJ Jemison from 1 yard out for East, the first of 3 touchdowns. East now with a 21-10 lead. Jemison would score again in the second quarter, this time from 6 yards out, 28-10 at the half. In the third quarter, Tyler Glenn, his second touchdown of the night, this time from 6 yards out, 35-10 East favor. Princeton, beginning of the fourth quarter, beautiful pass from McIntosh to DeMarcus Staley for 26 yards, giving East an 18-point lead. TJ Jemison would score his third touchdown of the night, this time on 16 yards. Then with 2:03 left in the game, Oscar Armstrong, senior, looks like he stopped at the line of scrimmage, but manages to squirt out for 32 yards, giving East a 49-17 lead. Princeton would score one more time, another McIntosh to Staley, 22-yard pass. Your final score, 49-24 in favor of the Thunderhawks. Well, as we mentioned, it was a big win. The costly win, though, David Chenault, who was came into the game leading the GMC in scoring, got hurt in the second quarter. He basically broke his ankle in the second quarter in that game, and he is going to be out, unfortunately, for the rest of the season. So that's going to be a big blow. But I tell you what, the person that stepped it up in that game was Tyler Glenn. Glenn had 20 rushes for 168 yards, and he averaged over 8 yards a run. So Tyler Glenn really stepped it up and helped him out. And of course, he is going to be depended on by Coach Rick Haynes for the rest of the season to fill in for David Chenault. Grant Smith, 7 for 7 in PATs. He is 19 for 19 this season. And so that was it was a good game for them. Another person, if you watch that game, you also notice in the third quarter, Jamal Hines from Princeton was hurt, and it looked pretty darn serious from what we saw, or replays back and everything. It looked like it was a neck injury and everything. I made a call to Princeton High School earlier this week, found out that he's in a neck brace. It looks like he's going to be okay. The day I talked to him, he was going to be returning to school the next day. So good luck to that young man. That was a pretty scary injury. But anymore, as you've noticed in the last few years with football, with all the stuff now with the concussions and all the things that's going on now, the medical staff just does a great job at all these games, no matter what game they are at. Okay, Wes, they played on the road this week, and we had a chance to catch up with Coach Larry Cox to talk about that game and the upcoming game for him. Well, Larry, as we were talking right before this interview, a very good road win this past week. Of course, you said any win in GMC is a good win, but tell us about that win over Sycamore.
No, it was the thing that impressed me the most is that, we really impressed upon them how, Sycamore's a good team. They were 4-2 going into it. They were playing with a lot of confidence. And, I think the front half of our schedule prepared us for the second half of the schedule. And I like the way that our kids showed up and played hard in spite of the elements. Now, I know both teams have to play in the elements, but, I really felt like there's times with high school kids, sometimes that does affect them. But in our case, it didn't affect the kids. Carried out the game plan just as we practiced all week. And it was a good win on all sides. I thought our defense did a good job. I thought our offense, we did what we had to do in the elements. We ran the ball really well. And then I thought that was probably one of our better special team wins too, because our kickoff team really came and we kept them pinned inside. And that's sort of been one of our Achilles' heel this year. So I was real happy of all phases of the game. So, hopefully we can springboard that into these last 3 games and really make some things happen.
You talk about the different aspects of the game. Defense, at the beginning of the season, I know that was going to be a struggle because you had a fairly young defense. They seem to be coming around the last couple weeks or so now.
Week by week we've shown improvements, and that's, as a coach, that's what you look for more than anything. Are you better than where you were when you started? And I think we're doing that each time. I think our young back end, our secondary, is growing up and getting smarter and smarter. And even up front, I just think all phases we're getting smarter and smarter, and our kids are getting this game experience, and hopefully that trend continues.
Cole Gentry, another 200-yard game, second one in a row. He's really starting to get his groove now this season.
He feels real comfortable where he's at in the offense right now. And, like I said at the beginning of the year, he's a guy that's, had that 600-yard seasons 2 years in a row. So you knew, what he was capable of. And now he's just playing to the level that, I thought he was capable of. And then, quite frankly, what he thought. He set some lofty goals for himself. So, I just think he's producing like he thought he would. And, he'd be the first to say he can't do it without his offensive line. He's a pretty unselfish kid, and he's really quiet. So, but I'm real happy with him.
A couple weeks ago, he tied Mike Lovell's record for 5 touchdowns in a game. And did you know that? I mean, I know that towards the end of the game, I think Cole came out. You were playing, the other guys at that time. But did you realize he had tied that record during?
No, I didn't know that till after the game. And it's funny because he and Mike Lovell to this day talk a little bit. So Mike was a freshman coach of Cole's, so those guys have a nice relationship. And Mike's real happy for Cole. He said he reminds him a lot of himself, and that's pretty high praise because Mike Lovell was a pretty good football player here.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I think everything Cole's gotten this year he's earned, and he's worked hard.
All right, you've got a game this week at home with Mason. You both are tied 3-1 in the league right now. Tell us about this Comets team.
Well, they're playing with a lot of confidence right now, a lot of confidence. I think, a lot of people don't give them a lot of credit for, number one, their defense. Their defense is really, really good. They're only giving up 12 points a game, and they play real well as a unit. And I think that's what's making them so good defensively. Offensively, I know they switched to a wing T, and they've got some good guys helping them put that in. And Brian's done a great job of infusing that offense into the program. And I think right now they're playing with a whole lot of confidence right now. They feel real good about where they're at. And, they do a great job of ball control. They want to sit on the ball, hang on to the ball, all right, and then give you as few touches as you can get offensively. And their formula's worked pretty well this year. And they've done a great job with this group. And it'll be a great game coming over here because you got two teams that really feel good about where they're at right now. So, it'll be a great game for the fans.
All right, it's the 8th game of the season. What's your injury report look like right now? I mean, I know guys are typically banged up at this time of the season.
For the most part, we're pretty healthy. I mean, we're not missing anybody for this game or anything like that. So, we feel pretty good about that end of it. So, knock on wood, we've done pretty well with that.
All right, good luck. We'll talk to you in about a couple weeks.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, in that game with Sycamore this past week, as far as the stats go for West, Cole Gentry started the scoring with a 15-yard run. Jack Nguyen with the kick, 7-0 West. And then the second quarter, Dante Jones, 22-yard pass from Blake Darlin. Nguyen with the kick again, 14-0 at halftime in favor of the Firebirds. In the third quarter, Sycamore closes the gap a little bit on Clarence Dawson, 53-yard run. But then Jack Nguyen answered in the fourth quarter with a 38-yard field goal, putting West up 17-7. Sycamore closes a little bit more, though. Ryan Waller, a 49-yard pass from Jake Borland, and it was 17-13 with 9:08 to go in the game. But Cole Gentry comes through with a 35-yard run, and Nguyen with the kick, and Nguyen finishes out the scoring with a 30-yard field goal. As we said, Cole Gentry, 36 attempts, 213 yards. As we mentioned with Larry, it's a second straight 200-yard rushing game that he had in that. Blake Darlin, not the best night in the world, but he was 10 for 20 for 90 yards. But Gentry was doing a yeoman's job there on the ground, and that's what they needed in that win. Looking at the stats right now, Blake Darlin right now is sitting first, as he has been all season as quarterbacks in GMC. He is now 1,479 yards in passing, 104 of 185, 12 touchdowns, 5 5 picks and a quarterback rating of 139.4. And Gentry's 213 yards moved him now into first place in rushing in the GMC. He now has 1,033 yards. That's not bad after 7 weeks. And he also leads the GMC in scoring with 72 points. Looking at the Harbin ratings, of course, now, you know, you got 3 weeks to go here. These Harbin ratings are really coming in big right now. East is still sitting in that position for a home game. They are 6th in the Harbin. And remember, in Division I, 16 teams go to the playoffs. Right now, Coleraine is 12th, Mason is 16th, and West is 18th. They're creeping up closer and closer, and a win this week should put them into the 16 now, the top 16 as far as that goes. Games this week, East, they're going to be on the road at Oak Hills. West will be our game of the week this week. They'll be taking on Mason, as we have heard from Larry Cox a little bit earlier. And just a little bit of a technical note here, a television note for you. We've been kind of telling you last couple weeks or so that Time Warner Cable was going to do the East-West game this year. Well, I think they decided Westchester Community Television was just far too better to do it. So Westchester Community Television will be doing that game, the East at West game, and that will be 2 weeks from this coming Friday. So that's it this week for Lakota Sports Watch. We got a lot more stuff coming next week. We've got a game coming up right after this. So for Mike Lyons, this is Bill Bretz saying stay tuned for West versus Mason.